Alrighty then. Well, thing says we're live. We're live. Hey guys, what's going on? Memes here. Yes, Bill. You are early. Welcome, thank you for joining, my friend. I'm Poindexter. Right on time. Arriving precisely when Poindexter is meant to be. Thank you for joining, my friends, and all those who may join temporally in the future. This is a little bit of a hype video, so to speak. And of course, it's in my own self-interest as well, because we're going to be talking about Demysticon 2025, the upcoming cosmology conference in Sesimbra, Portugal, which myself and Thad will be attending and presenting some posters. So, Anastasia and Shilo have been very kind to myself as well as some other folks here at the monastery, even actually putting us up for the evening and feeding us, because who doesn't like burgers? I'm just saying. Hashtag not all. But let's jump right into it. Let's go down to over here. So as we can see, there are still some tickets available for Demysticon 2025. Oh God, what happened to all my backgrounds and everything? Where's the general stuff? Oh my God, they must have. Oh, okay, we're not going to adjust that. It's all right. We'll manage. Here, let's make this. That doesn't make that much of a difference. Okay. So as we can see, Demysticon 2025. The title of the conference is Beyond the Big Bang. Why is this? Well, with the James Webb Space Telescope, as well as DESI and a whole bunch of other cosmological observations, we're finding that perhaps our understanding of the cosmos may be a little bit different than what we had generally assumed. Don't worry, it's not going to be all heretics, just mostly heretics. We are going to have a couple of folks that are going to be basically defending and proponents of the standard Lambda CDM model. So basically, you have the standard general assumption, because the Big Bang is just a series of different models in that, well, people will say, oh, there's just this one thing, or, well, this thing is wrong. And to be fair, it's a hypothesis. It's a hypothesis that we've done really well with, and we've been able to at least explain many phenomena, even though about roughly about 85, 90 or so percent of universe as we know it, it's kind of unaccounted for. Why? Because, well, we've got about 70 or so percent of the energy density of the universe, so to speak, seems to be within dark energy, whatever that is, as well as you probably got about 15% of it or so within dark matter as well. And as I'm doing that adding up, I'm realizing my arithmetic was off. So, okay, probably about 90 to 95% of universe is stuff we don't know. Now, you have certain thoughts, perhaps the dark energy is the cosmological constant. Now, it's looking like that, at least from our observational perspective, the cosmological constant might not be constant. Okay. Then again, is this really different than what happened with the Hubble Space Telescope? Because, I don't know, you go back like 30 years or so, and we had some thoughts. We were like, oh, of course, it looks like, to the best of our knowledge, we're going to have a cosmological constant. It's probably zero. Okay. Now, ultimately, back with the Hubble Space Telescope around 1998 or so, within that term, it seemed like, oh, well, it looks like, to the best of our observations at the time, that dark energy was accelerating the apparent expansion of our cosmos. Then, fast forward another, 25 years or so, and now it's looking like, with more recent observations of the James Webb, we're finding some galaxies you'll see the titles that they defy explanation and everything. Now, perhaps our galactic formation models were a wee bit off. Perhaps there are some different aspects here that we may need to take into account. I covered one of the things from, it was published in the Royal Astronomical Society letters, and there's a link on the archive about, well, perhaps we could resolve the Hubble tension if universe was rotating slowly. I don't know, it reminds me of that song. It's like, the earth turns slowly. Again, you don't want me to sing. But what we're finding out is, okay, maybe we should begin to start to entertain other ideas, perhaps some more heterodox things that are outside the standard framework in which we've generally been accustomed to. Because everybody knows that folks always love admitting that they were wrong, especially if you've been working on something for a while and there's something new there. Now, ultimately, good scientists, they're okay with being wrong because, well, if we haven't been able to figure out much of, or as many, or excuse me, all of the different stuff that we're trying to account for, that's the scientific method. You're trying to isolate the potentially infinite, quote unquote, number of variables that could cause some interference or noise within our data. That's very hard to do. Okay. But we're going to be presenting some different alternative models for different cosmologies there. If you do happen to want to go, there are some tickets left. They actually have different tiers that some were all inclusive and everything. Those are gone. But they still have, I think, a couple of tickets left if you just want to attend and actually get some of the meals that are in can be provided there. I think they have a couple of those tickets left, and then I think a few general tickets that if you just want to go. Again, you would need to arrange your own travel and everything because, well, scientific conferences often require traveling to come together with other scientists to discuss ideas. That can be expensive. Okay, but if you happen to be in Europe, apparently travel within Europe is often pretty easy, at least within the EU and everything. All right, but here we go. All right, so let's just go through, do some very basic rating about what might be going on here. All right, let's see. Oh, don't worry, my friends. There's going to be plenty of heresy, I'm sure. All right. So Demysticon 2025 is all about the changing paradigms of astrophysics and cosmology. Join Demysticon and take part, if you like, in a community of experts, investigators, and enthusiasts. I think they're talking about folks like me right there with the enthusiasts. All right. Our annual event this year is in Sesimbra, Portugal, from June 12th to June 16th. Includes a weekend of talks, panels, and discussions about the successes and failures of the standard model, the new ideas that seem most promising, and what will it take to achieve revolutionary insight into the mechanics of the universe. Attendees will join the conversation directly since afternoons are free for walks on the beach and casual collaboration, because that's one of the big things, to my knowledge, that comes out of a lot of scientific conferences. If you happen to meet a number of like-minded people that may be working on similar things, perhaps you can collaborate. I mean, that's what I enjoy doing. I'll talk to a whole bunch of different folks. Some folks might be prominent scientists, young and upcoming academic PhDs, whether it's Jonathan Gorod, or perhaps a Stephen Wolfram, or perhaps some upcoming folks, or a series of folks that, who knows, maybe they're just crazy. I mean, present company included, but occasionally you may run into somebody that, at least in my opinion, is sufficiently crazy. And if somebody has a sufficiently crazy idea, we all know that any sufficiently crazy idea is indistinguishable from madness. Now, again, that's just a random statement and just modification of Arthur C. Clarke's different laws. However, this actually does seem to historically be the case, because somebody will come up with an idea and a lot of folks will, quote unquote, poo-poo on it and be like, oh, no, that's not, oh, you're crazy, you're a crank, blah, blah, blah. Okay, now, this was so extreme within history that some folks ended up, unfortunately, literally deleting themselves due to this amount of criticism. There are some folks that literally waited until they were on their own deathbed before they would release their manuscripts to be published after they passed for fear of criticism. Now, they also didn't have Twitter back in the day. So I'm just saying that it's not like certain folks may just maybe have certain ideas that they may be afraid to talk about publicly because, I don't know, it doesn't really matter. I don't think it's necessarily just straight up to science itself, maybe within politics or whatever, insert community here. There might be some ideas because you got the meme of what is it, that guy with all the swords pointed towards him and stuff like that. So it's like, which idea would you get your community to react like that? It just seems to be a human thing. I think maybe that's built into our programming, so to speak. That's an opinion. Because we all know nobody would express their opinion as fact on the internet. But let us continue. It's going to be in the lovely Sesimbra, Portugal, as we can see of this year. So it's coming up in just a couple of weeks. All right, so let's go through some of the speakers. Let's go through our list of heretics, shall we? All right, speakers at the annual event include Eric Lerner, who is seminal work, The Big Bang Never Happened, has been bothering folks for years. So we've got a heretic prime here, as well as Dr. Alexandra Unzicker of Unzicker's Real Physics. We've got Gareth Samuel of See the Pattern, Dr. Patrick Vanraes of the University of Antwerp, and Dr. Mike McCulloch of the University of Plymouth. That's Dr. Mike McCulloch, I believe. He's the gentleman proposing quantized inertia to help explain for the rotational, the rotation curves of galaxies and everything. Basically trying to explain, without using dark matter, what might be going on. Okay, and as well as we have Dr. C.S. Unnikrishnan of TIFR, Dr. André Koch, Torres Assis of the University of Campinas, Dr. Martin Lopez Corredoira, yeah, I apologize for the mispronunciation of the names, of the Astrophysical Institute on the Canary Islands. God, that sounds like a beautiful place. Dr. Indranil Banik of the University of Portsmouth, as well as it's going to be hosted by Dr. Shilo DeLay, as well as Dr. Anastasia Bendebury of the Demystify Psi podcast. All right. So as we can see, if you happen to select one of the membership levels there, you actually do have the opportunity to actually present a poster, as well as basically just chat and discuss different stuff and things with different folks that might pique your interest, whether it happens to be a panelist, whether it happens to be some of the hosts, whether it happens to be just the other folks that are in attendance there. So they're going to structure it a bit more because they had the Demysticon last year in Austin, Texas, that we went down to coordinate with the solar eclipse. And one of the things that we found, we did have an area for posters, but there was no real dedicated time. It was more like, all right, we're going to have like 20 or 30 minutes between this. Folks can grab some snacks, stretch their legs, go outside. This is going to be a little bit more structured, so there's going to have some more official time for poster sessions and different folks to present their ideas there. So that should be pretty cool. I'm kind of doing the same thing I did last year, and to be fair, last year I maybe talked for about 5 minutes at the actual conference, and then talked about some of the stuff that I had from my poster and other folks' posters the night before at the hotel. Why? Because we're a bunch of nerds, and nerds enjoy sharing nerdy things. All right, that's my claim there. Let's see here. Let's see. Let's see. What do we get? What do we get? All right. So we got some comments here. Let's go through some of our comments with our friendly neighborhood chat. All right, we've got Bill here. Bill is saying that dark energy seems to come from cosmic horizon negative energy. It's more likely that dark energy is relative gravity from relative cosmic horizon as the engine of dark energy. I've talked to Bill about some of his claims and everything, and it is very interesting to kind of go through and look at this, and occasionally went through, did some quick searches, and it's like, all right, well, it does seem, there seems to be a log4 relationship between the different Planck areas of a black hole and the Landauer energy relationship there. Basically, I hadn't seen much anything else on it or anyone else pointing that out, so that's why very often it's good to highlight these different ideas and everything. Oh, geez, Poindexter's commenting, it's like, Oh, means you're just feeding us feral scientists and we're only going to want more. Listen. The level of feralness depends upon the individual. I've dealt with some incredibly feral individuals, and sometimes you can only deal with it so much before you just kind of need them to go away and get your own little time. But that's a personal flaw upon me. Well, I don't know about that. Again, I still need to go through the process before I can really complain about it. Again, I've heard complaints from a number of other folks. I've heard a number of prominent folks bring this up, but again, I'm going to need to have the door slammed in my face telling me that, nope, you're just a crank we're not even going to look at. When that happens, then I'm happy to engage in that. But until that day comes, aka I need to get my butt in gear, seeing as, well, you have predictions now that seem to line up incredibly well with something I've kind of been kicking around once in a while. That's why you have to go through the effort, because if you just notice something and you just put it out there onto Twitter, it's like, well, obviously, like, whoa, this is my idea. This obviously explains all this different stuff and things, and you're expecting people to engage. It's like, well, really? You're a random dude on the internet. Now, again, if you're talking about status, again, I also realize that I could be, okay, maybe not hot garbage, but if you postulate something that's a little bit out there, if my name was Ed Whitten, people would probably pay attention. Why? Well, because when Ed Whitten says something, I'm going to pay more attention to it. Why? I do the same thing, because it's a prominent scientist, he's a Fields medalist, and he's incredibly bright. He also helped co-write the MassGap Millennium Prize problem as well. And if you've listened to Edwin talk enough, reading through it, you're like, I can hear his voice in there, because he seems to write the same way he speaks. And I think this was one of the things where Brian Greene, when he said, like, somebody had asked him, it's like, oh, have you collaborated with Edward Whitten before? He's like, collaborated? No, but I did share an office directly next to his. And the terrifying thing was, this was, I think, back in, oh God, probably like the 80s or so. I think they still had mechanical typewriters and stuff, but he's like, when you had an office next to Ed Whitten, you would just hear click, 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 click. Like, he just kept typing. He just kept going. So I'm like, well, if he basically writes as he speaks, and he's thought things through really well, that seems like it would be intimidating. Again, he's also a freaking genius, in my opinion. All right. What do I think? Do I think modified Mond or modified Newtonian dynamics can explain dark energy? That's a great question. I don't know. I mean, if you're going to adjust it for dark energy, I don't know. Maybe it could explain dark matter better. I believe that's what Dr. Mike McCulloch is going to be talking about, quantized inertia, because the best of my knowledge of his claim is that there's going to be a certain magnitude that you're going to get out to that basically, if you're going to take the inertia of the galactic system itself, he basically has claimed that he has a way of accounting for what dark matter, or personally I feel it's better referred to as a dark mass effect, or an observed dark mass effect. Why? Well, Mass Effect is also a game. If you can put dark in front of it, yeah, I mean, that's something that I feel might actually be more appropriate. Then again, I'm also from Massachusetts, and I'm a proponent of renaming black holes that aren't actually black mass holes. Again, personal self-interest, and it makes me giggle a little bit. But I mean, isn't that what we're saying? If we're going to say it's essentially a hole in space-time, or whatever you want to call the medium, a superfluidic nature, the substrate, space-time itself, the fabric of reality. But remember, no ether. It's a 5-letter word. But I digress. Let's see. Oh, yeah. Oh, and again, if some people meet each other in the chat, feel free to collaborate. I've actually met different folks. Actually, that was how I met my friend Jen from the Church of Entropy YouTube channel. She was in Wolfram's chat for a while. I go over there, and again, full misogyny included. I'm like, oh, here's a cute gal talking about nerdy things. I go over there, and it's like, I learned a bunch of stuff. I also met other folks like Kale, and then I think at least one or two other folks that happen to have different channels. You go check it out, listen to what people say, and it's like you never know where a good idea may come from. Now, that idea might be a seed, if you would. Maybe it helps give you an idea or helps clarify a particular aspect of what you are working on, but that's supposed to be the scientific process. Why? Well, let's see. We want to be less wrong. Why? Because I can say just a bunch of things, but it's probably most all of it's going to be wrong, because most things are wrong. And if we want to cast aside our misconceptions and actually start doing science, we need to consider alternative possibilities. Now, again, we're going to weigh those possibilities because, well, if somebody happens to be a famous scientist, whether it's Newton, whether it's Edwin, whether it's Albert Einstein, Marie Curie, whoever it might be, it's like, all right, if somebody has a history of figuring out things, and if they happen to get a bunch of attention, whether it's from the media, social media, the generalized news, the academic community, it's like, well, that's kind of putting the proverbial eye of Sauron upon you. People will pay attention, and then people will receive things different. Some folks will say, oh, that's a great idea. Let me look into more of this person's stuff. And other folks will be like, that's a bunch of hooey, and just move on. Everyone's entitled to their own opinion. What, are you going to go around and try to make somebody think something? It's like, that sounds kind of fashy in my opinion. All right. I realize I have a habit of going on some rants. But the thing is, people can share ideas, and I learn stuff from all different folks. Here's the thing. Even folks that maybe I'd consider maybe a wee bit off their rocker, so to speak, doesn't mean I might actually learn something useful from them. Now, I may not want to spend a lot of time with certain folks because of certain reasons. Maybe they're a little bit socially awkward, or perhaps they make you feel uncomfortable. It's like, again, nobody deserves your time. Your time is earned. That's the thing, and that's the beautiful thing about YouTube. Yeah, maybe the algorithm will toss you here, and if you're not a fan of this stuff, that's fine. Hey, thank you for coming by. Thank you, YouTube, for recommending this. If I ain't your cup of tea, it's totally fine. You do you, boo. Again, I ain't your dad. So, I know some folks, Bill, had kind of taken a little bit of umbrage there, and again, I don't have paternity tests and stuff like that out here. But let's see. Oh yeah, I had Bill on here. Let me find Bill's thing here. That should be real quick. Let me bring this up. Bill. Oh God, look at all these old videos. Wow, what the heck am I even talking? Okay. Let's do logger log 4. I think we'll bring it up. There we go. Logarithmic rhythmic base with gravity with Bill. Let's just grab. I think it's going to be this. Hold on. I think. Oh God, did that work? Okay, it works. All right. So here we go. All right. So here's the links to the conversation with Bill right there. All right. Feel free to check that out at your own leisure if that's your type of thing. We went through it. I know Bill's done some updates, but he actually, to my knowledge, was a meteorologist. Is that the term? Somebody that works on specific measurements and precision. And I think it was within the greater auto industry and stuff, because I haven't been really big on cars and automotive stuff for a while. But when that was my thing, it's like precision matters. I.e., if you happen to have an LS1 engine and you wanted to bore it over and get a little bit more displacement, why? Because we must remember, there's no replacement for displacement. You can do all the things, but displacement is going to be displacement, and maybe that can teach us something, in my opinion. All right. Let's see. Let's continue to go. Yeah. Well, that's the thing. There's so many different videos, and it's like, do I expect everybody to listen to everything I have to say? It's like you'll have folks come in. It's like, oh, I'm sorry, I'm late. It's like, oh, I ain't your boss. You come and go as you please. And personally, I I try to do that for some folks. It's like, especially if you're finding a different community of folks, it's like, yeah, I'm going to watch these videos. I'm going to watch these videos. And then it's like, I am subscribed to far more people than are even following me on my channel. And it's like, there's no way I can keep up. There's literally not enough hours in the day. Yeah, I could try. Again, that's why ultimately I basically just use the algorithm a lot. It's like, if something interests me, I just view stuff that's interested and related, and it will continue to show me things along that. Like recently, I've been getting a bunch of things on gimbal lock. Why? Because a video had popped up from like 12 or 16 years ago, and it's like, oh, there's somebody giving an actually really good explanation of what gimbal lock is. Now, am I going to say that I fully know what it is? It's like, okay, when certain planes align, it's kind of hard to see the rotation, and basically that's why, at least to my knowledge, a lot of times with programming, you could use either Euler angles, who many people call Euler, but at least according to his 9th generation descendant, it is Euler. So you could use Euler angles or quaternions. And apparently quaternions make it a lot easier because you don't run into certain alignment of axes throwing things off. But that's the thing. It's like, when I was more into politics, it's like, all right, here's a video that's going to make you angry. Here's another video that's going to make you angry. It goes from this, goes to this, goes to this, goes to this. It's all of a sudden, it's like, wait a second, why am I being redirected to a live stream with somebody that's basically more or less a white nationalist talking about eventually like seizing control violently? I'm like, maybe I should pay attention to different things. And again, it's the algorithm is trying to get you engaged. If you want to be angry, it will show you plenty of things to make you angry. If you want to look into scientific stuff and things, it's going to show you more scientific stuff and things. And then if you go down in a particular avenue, whether it's physics, biology, this, that, it's going to show you different things that interest you. Ultimately, the power is yours on what you want to see. And you can also like say, don't recommend anything more from the channels like these. I think that at least was a thing before. Okay. I've been rambling on so much about different stuff. Let's get back to the actual topic of the video. I apologize. Pardon me for a second. All right. Back to action. Meteorologist. There we go. Thank you, sir. All right. Hey, I appreciate it. I basically always see you here. No, thank you. There are some folks like, if I have the ability and if I'm around, it's like, I always try to make it, at least pop in, at least say hi. And maybe if I'm not interacting, maybe I'm busy with something, driving. You never know, because that's the best and worst part about the internet is you never know who's watching. See, that's the thing. If you're interested in different computer stuff and science like that, it's going to show you a bunch of stuff. And again, the power is ultimately up to you. All right. So we've got a bunch of these different folks here. We got Anastasia and Shilo. And if you'd like to join in Portugal, the link to this is in the doobly-doo below. So as this is all out here, the stakeholder thing. So this is sold out. What this was is rather than doing like Eventbrite or something, they just set it up through this particular portal. This is the all-inclusive one that includes access to all the different correspondence, talks, panels, and all the different stuff and things surrounding Demysticon 2025. It includes 4-night attendance, lodging, meals at the Sesimbra Oceanfront Hotel, includes breakfast and dinner buffets, as well as coffee breaks between the sessions. And again, they're noting the lunches are not included. Why? I think that's a general thing. If somebody wants to run to a store and grab like protein bars or something, you can totally do that. I'll probably do that. All right. I think they have a couple more tickets at this level. So again, if you're into this different science stuff and things and you're like, you know what? I want to go to a scientific conference full of a bunch of different folks with different perspectives, providing different alternatives while actually having different folks that actually work in the industry of the standard Lambda CDM model and have some correspondence, maybe this would interest you. If you happen to be in the greater Portugal, Spain, or so the surrounding area, personally, I think it's going to be a pretty good time. But again, you do whatever you want. This is a wee bit of an advertisement, if you would, because I've seen some other YouTube channels, whether it's, I think it's Sky Scholar with Dr. Pia Robitaille. He had done a thing highlighting this, as well as I think Dr. Unzicker had done a bit of a promo for them as well. So I'm going to do a bit of a live stream and get a little bit of this knowledge out there for anybody that's interested. And I'm pretty sure most everything at the conference, a number of these different talks and discussions will likely be recorded and then eventually be released over time on the Demystify Sci podcast channel, which again is in the link down below if you'd want to check out those folks. It's actually interesting how I came across their podcast. It was actually the algorithm, speaking of the algo, in that basically I had been going through like a lot of different cosmology and stuff, and all of a sudden, one of Shilo's lectures, he teaches an intro to astronomy class at one of the colleges over there in Oregon, I believe. And I'm like, oh, I haven't taken an astronomy class in like 20 years. I'm like, all right, this is new and interesting things going on. So I just click on it. And as I'm listening to him, all of a sudden, at one point during his talk, he's like, no, there's a lot of different things that maybe we can't really explain yet. So it's like, hey, I like to talk to people that have interesting ideas. He's like, my wife and I, we interview crazy people all the time. And I'm like, at that point, I realized I need to look into this further. And to my surprise and kind of delight, I saw they actually had some recent interviews with some folks that I happen to listen to on a fairly frequent and regular basis, whether it happened to be Professor Brian Keating from the University of San Diego, or Kurt Jai Mungle, who happens to run the Theories of Everything channel out of Toronto. I'm like, oh, I listen to those folks in there from broadcasts, so I'm like, let me go back, let me listen. And I'm like, all right, these people, I think they're kind of aligned with what we're trying to do here at the monastery. So I'm like, all right, let me shoot them a few bucks, become a patron. And then they hold a bunch of Sunday called salon chats, where basically the patrons will do about an hour on Zoom and just discuss different episodes, what might be on certain folks' minds and everything in a respectful manner. Why? Well, I mean, if you just want to tell people what you think, you can always go to Twitter. I mean, that's your call. But if you actually want to have thoughtful, fruitful discussions, hopefully, maybe find different like-minded folks that are actually interested in some things. And I know after some of the discussions, maybe I'll pop on the Discord chat for maybe an hour or so, and then often a lot of folks will pop in, we'll share different ideas, go over different things, and I learn a bunch of things. And actually, one of the people I highlighted in the video where I said, Hans destroys memes, is he pointed out a little bit of my loop and logic. It's like, was I taking actual things that were actual measured? No, it was just a calculation of charge, energy, and everything. And he pointed that out. Now, he might not have a background in physics, but he's a programmer. And leave it to programmers to find loops in logic. So I could correct myself. And it's like, again, I'm like, it was in my head, I'm like, there's no way people couldn't have noticed this. Just because I'm like, this is literally getting all the known digits of the elementary unit of action. It's not like it's like a couple and you have to go out on a limb and then conjecture wildly to try to see if maybe something will fit in coming years, and if you got more digits, maybe there's something there. But it's more like this is literally getting all the digits to the elementary unit of action. Somebody has to have noticed this. And it literally was from the definitions baked into Wolfram Alpha. And that's what I got from Hans, and I wouldn't have been following Hans, and he wouldn't have pointed that out unless I had literally gone into that chat and then gotten his Twitter, and we followed each other, and then he pointed out my flaw in logic. Cool. That's science. It's like there's no way that this could be like a discovery from me for something this accurate that you, at that level of accuracy, it's really hard to argue. But the accuracy came from the definition that was built in. Okay. Now, again, it seems like many physicists were unaware of that because I originally was doing an analysis from Dr. Alexander Unzicker. It was one of his older videos from, not that old, it's like maybe 6-7 months ago. He's like, there's a remarkable relationship between if you take the speed of light, the mass of the proton, the radius of the proton, and then you put like some prerequisite over there, like pi divided by 2. Gets the first couple of digits of h, Planck's constant. So I just went down a little Wolfram hole, and I just took off the pi divided by 2, just took the speed of light, the proton mass, the proton radius, and then noticed there was a little button on Wolfram Alpha that said classical proton radius. I'm like, that's interesting. Click. And then Wolfram Alpha told me, I'm like, that's about, it was about 137th the value, the magnitude of h bar, Planck's reduced constant. So I'm like, divide by alpha, the fine structure constant. Boom. And then it nailed it for like, it rounded up for like the last digit or so, but essentially got all the digits. And I'm like, somebody has to have noticed this. And it was baked into the definition. So he wasn't aware, and apparently I reached out to at least one other person that actually did work as a mathematical physicist. I showed this to them, and they're like, wow. It's like, how did you come to that? It's like, Wolfram Alpha told me. So again, that was a relationship that it wasn't new. It was literally just baked into the knowledge. And my conception, like, no way did I discover something that has like 9 or 10 digits agreement with actual measurement. It was the good folks at Wolfram Research that had basically had that set up and everything. So, and again, it's like, a lot of times you'll find things and maybe you discover something. You're like, oh, this is great. This is great. It's like, all right, did you search on the internet, the archive, or wherever, or at least do a cursory Google search to see if other folks had found stuff like this? And to be fair, even when I did a cursory Google search, the thing that kind of caught me off guard was I'm like, all right, there only seem to be 2 individuals that have basically talked about this. Huh? But again, it was baked into the Wolfram Alpha logical loop there. Doesn't mean it's... Okay, it still might actually be useful because, to be fair, it actually, the classical limit does actually predict the more accurate, we believe, proton radius measurement, root mean charge, I believe. All right, so there should be, I'm sorry, I get very sidetracked. But let's just finish going over a couple of things. So basically, if you want to attend the conference, and again, it's coming up, actually tomorrow's going to be June, so in less than 2 weeks, if you want to happen to join a particular scientific conference, Demysticon 2025, with some folks that are going to be heralding the Lambda CDM model, as well as heretics like me that might be presenting some alternative models, feel free to join us if that happens to be your persuasion. There's a couple of tickets left that will include meals and everything. These tickets are no longer going to be available after Monday, I believe is what I heard from Shilo and Anastasia about a week or so ago, basically because they need to make plans with the hotel to actually set up the buffet for so many people. So if you want to have an inclusive meal plan, this is something you would have to get basically this weekend. So again, if that's your thing. Now, there's also the frugal polymath level. What is this? Basically, if you just want to attend the conference. If you want to attend the conference, maybe you live in Portugal, maybe you're somewhere from Europe, and you're like, maybe you're traveling through, or maybe you're like, I'm just gonna hop on a train or hop on a, I don't know, 6 to 8 hours will probably get you most places across Europe there. So I'm like, if you're like, oh, this seems like a kind of cool thing, and maybe you don't mind traveling, you could always reserve a room at either the Sesimbra Oceanside, oh, excuse me, the Sesimbra Oceanfront Hotel. They may have some rooms left. If not, there are some other hotels in the area. If you make your own accommodations and you just want to attend the conference, or if you happen to know somebody in the area and you're like, you know what, it's a good time to go to Portugal, hey, feel free to join us. So basically, this membership includes access to all the correspondence, talks, panels surrounding Demysticon 2025. It includes attendance at the annual event held here. So basically, it just includes the coffee breaks. So if you want to visit, grab a cup of joe and chat with some folks and the panels and everything, you can feel free to go check these out. So, all right, the actual prices and stuff. So all right. So this one is, hold on, let me bring this down. That's as much as I love to dox myself and everything. Let's see. How much is this one? Okay, no, it shows all the stuff here. All right. So I'll bring it back up. All right. Oh, the price increased too. All right, that actually used to be cheap. All right, so the stakeholder, the all-inclusive thing, including lodging, is sold out. The Grand Scholar is $864. So basically that includes all the talks as well as the meal plan. The Frugal Polymath includes coffee, that's $498. And then just stopping by, Friday through Sunday access to talks, poster sessions, and afternoon activities, no evening access. So basically, in the evenings, a lot of times, people will be kind of going by, doing walks on the beach, and if you just feel like stopping by, it's $350. So that's what we got there. If it was euros, it's probably going to be less euros because I'm pretty sure the conversion to, I don't know, you can ask Wolfram Alpha. Euros to dollars. Okay, €1 right now is about $1.13. Cool. Thank you, Wolfram Alpha. All right. So again, if this is something that interests you, again, you would need to make your way to Sesimbra, Portugal, but it should be an interesting event there. And I think there's going to be a lot of interesting folks, some of which that I saw last year that I look forward to seeing again, as well as perhaps meeting some new friends and or collaborators over there. So again, if this is your thing, there's going to be a whole bunch of different folks that you may have seen here on the YouTubes or have heard about from other periodicals, articles, or whatnot. So let's just go through again. Again, we're going to have different folks such as Dr. Alexander Unzicker, and he's going to be talking about rethinking redshift. I believe he might be talking about a variable speed of light idea, which, again, does he necessarily believe that? I don't know, but he's at least seeming to willing to entertain different ideas. And he has the Unzicker's Real Physics channel. We have Dr. C.S. Unnikrishnan, for he's going to be talking about a variable speed of light cosmology. It's from the Tata Institute of Fundamental Research. We're going to be having Gareth Samuel, and he's going to be discussing alternatives to the Big Bang, and he's from the See the Pattern, the YouTube channel. As well as we're going to have Dr. Eric Lerner from The Big Bang Never Happened fame. That's a book he put out a long time ago that has been aggravating folks for many years. And he is from LPP Fusion. So it's a company and they are raising funds to help advance fusion research. All right, and then we have Dr. Indranil Banik, and he's going to be discussing the fundamentals of Lambda CDM cosmology. He's from the University of Portsmouth. And I believe, have all these folks been on the Demystify Sci podcast? I think most of them have, because I think I remember them talking to this gentleman. I know they've talked to Eric Lerner at some point. They've talked to Dr. Unzicker several times. I think they've talked to Gareth Samuel, or maybe he was on maybe one of the Paradigm Drifts. I think they may have talked with this doctor. I'm not sure about Dr. André KT Assis. He's going to be discussing Machian cosmology. He's from the University of Campinas. I believe they've had on Dr. Michael McCulloch. He's going to be talking about quantized inertia. He's the University of Plymouth, as well as, I think I remember this hat from one of the video thumbnails. It's Dr. M. Lopez Corredoira, I believe, discussing large-scale structures. And he is from the Instituto de Astrophysical de Canarias, from the Canary Islands, I believe. And then I believe we have Dr. Patrick Vanraes discussing plasma physics. It's from the University of Antwerp. And again, it is organized by Doctors Anastasia Bendebury and Dr. Shilo DeLay. And again, the links to all this stuff is in the doobly-doo below. If this happens to be something you're interested in, or you happen to have a friend that has been really looking for an alternative conference on cosmology, hey, feel free to share this. I have no idea if you like it, you don't like it. Again, I ain't your dad. You do whatever works for you. God, it's... See, personally, I really don't like it when people start going around and being like, oh, make sure you do this, make sure you do that. Oh, it's, number one, I think that actually technically violates the YouTube terms of service if you're commanding your audience to do something, because if you actually start to read through that, it's like, we can ban you for basically anything you want. It's like, all right, you're directing your audience to do something. Even if it's a positive thing, that's why I'm like, again, I ain't your boss, I ain't your dad, you do you, boo. If it's something that interests you, hey, feel free to check it out. All right, let's get back to what folks have been saying. Let's see. All right. Oh, Phil, how did you know? I am literally a UMassole. Stay educated. Yup, you got it, man. All right. Let's see. Let's continue to go through. Okay, Bill's going over, I think, some of his history. Machine vision for assembly and process measurements. And, hey, man, all I know is CAD design is freaking fascinating, man. I had a friend that went into that, and you just see all that stuff. It's like, all right, we take a lot of things for granted. The sheer fact that this even works. If something like this we had hundreds of years ago, what are we doing? We're literally remote viewing. We're remote viewing, having conversations from basically all across the world, whether you're in the States, Portugal, Spain, Canada, Mexico, China, India, Japan. It doesn't matter. It's like, as long as you have access to this via the internet, we can have discussion. We can have words on the internet. We can collaborate. I mean, that's at least... If we're going to try to at least glean something from a horrific pandemic, we found that, oh my God, we can actually collaborate. We can actually do things remotely, if you would, and maybe actually learn. I've learned plenty from whether it was Professor Brian Keating, Professor Sean Carroll, number of other folks out here. I mean, a lot of these different long-form podcast discussions hosted by different folks like Shilo and Anastasia here, as well as Professor Wolfram started live streaming as well. A lot of these different things, it's like, number one, you never know where a good idea may come from. Number two, it's like showing up is half the battle. I learned that. I learned that from a politician that I disagree with on a good many things, but I'm like, wait a second. If knowing is half the battle, and the other half is showing up, that adds up to 100%. See what I did there? All right. Let's see. What else we got? Oh, God, you remember me from one of Dr. Brian Keating's broadcasts. Now, the question was that in a trolling phase? Was I actually talking about it? Maybe just a super chat? Or, to be fair, he did actually at one point when he was doing the clubhouse thing to have like different folks where he's like literally holding his phone up and everything. He actually did let me into one of those things because, well, I had pleasant correspondence to him. And again, full disclosure, hey, I shoot Professor Keating some cash on Patreon and everything because I have learned a bunch of things from him. So it's like, all right, let me actually try to support people that I think are doing good and interesting things. It also doesn't help if they occasionally make you laugh, so. Yes, in the chat room. Good. And that's one of the things, like, if I see folks and I remember them, I'm like, I try to at least wave or say hi to folks, and even though I can't type out the whole name or something like that, it's like, just saying hi to somebody can help brighten somebody's day. It's like, that's interaction. You never know what another person's going through, and it's like, I saw something that made me sad on Twitter. It was like, what's something that's gone away since the pandemic that's not coming back? It's like, somebody replied, empathy. And I'm like, ooh. Not all, but too much in my opinion. Yeah. Ooh, Linux since 1998. Around the time where dark energy apparently became a thing, and then 25 or so years later where it seems to be tapering off. What might be going on? Does our proverbial world turn slowly? I had to, I'm sorry. Have I done my Gettysburg Address script? Okay, I'm gonna share something. I'm gonna share something. Okay, not to get political, but let's throw the general matter of politics under the bus, because not a Gettysburg Address, but I was trying to meme Gara of the Sands from Naruto for his "For My Friend" speech, because I think it describes a lot of what's going on. Let's see. Let's go back to the thing with Bill. Hold on, wait. All right. I think it's Patriots Day. Here we go. All right. It's from like 6 years ago. Yes, Concord, Massachusetts. 4/15/18. Words were spoken. Okay, so this was basically a free speech rally that was put on by, at the time, Boston Free Speech and the Proud Boys. Okay, yes. Yeah, it goes that far back. And I met there were people that I strongly disagreed with there, and there were other folks that were more reasonable. And ultimately, if you could guess it, the people that I tended to disagree more with, you ended up hearing a lot more about. And the people that seemed more reasonable, barely heard from them again. I wonder why. Oh, quick analysis. Why might the internet be why it is? All right, let's just go. Okay. Let's take a look. Calculating the proton, electron, neutrons attributes via H-bar, 83 views. Can we solve the hierarchy problem through the root of action? 135 views. Hans destroys meme, 72 views. I had to stop watching Eric Weinstein versus Sean Carroll, 3.5, pushing 3,500 views. I'm like, all right, just talk about topical drama and you're gonna get views. I think that might explain a lot. All right, let's go back. All right. So this is at least my Concord, Massachusetts. The weather was really bad. I think, was it one of the YouTubers, Sargon of Akkad, and maybe a few others were there. And Sargon apparently is coming from the UK. He did his thing, and then he peaced out because it was really cold. But let's just get right into it.
Not forearms, or was it six?
Profit for one's group and self. Folks have hurt each other for many years now. From all sides, we hurt each other, we elevate the rhetoric, but there are certain things we must hold to be self-evident. All men and women, and everything in between, and whatever you may consider yourself, we are created equal. We are human beings. The issue we run into, we use the wrong words. Professor Peterson says, for instance, Hogwarts, we give examples of this and that. I say we're being bad wizards. We need to use better words to help heal these divides. I believe we are all more similar than we are different, but we do each have our own unique life experience. Aside from a couple strands of protein, we're all the same. The path every individual here has walked has been different. It's different than my path. It's different than the folks over their path. But I truly believe that most folks, as Sargon said, are good people. And good people can figure these things out. But just because you're a good person doesn't mean we don't do stupid shit. We all do stupid stuff every single day. Woo! You combine that with the fact that folks tend to act in their own self-interest. That explains a lot, right?
Right.
Hey, we all like to troll each other. We all like to jab. We all like to have fun. But there are certain things, no matter what happens, somebody says something, somebody does something, it becomes beyond the pale. We end up devolving into the purity spiral again and again. This happens on every side. We see it again and again throughout history. Those who do not heed history are bound to repeat it. That's why I have a dream. At some point, these labels, we live in a world where labels seem to mean nothing anymore, yet they mean more than anything else. I hope for a day when Republican, Democrat, SJW, Skeptic, and Neckbeard are no more. And all that is left are the folks, the people that stand here, the people that stand over there. We can figure this out. We have been given the greatest social experiment in the world in these United States of America. Yes, we can. A wise man said that once. You must remember that. And I truly believe we can figure this stuff out. But we need to get over ourselves. And that's up to each and every one of us.
All right, yes. Yeah, not to get the political and then, let's just bring up a political rally, but that was the closest thing that I had to a Gettysburg Address. The microphone I was handing it off to was a person that was running for senator that did not win. You can, if you want to look up and do the deep dive, you can feel free to do that. All right. Oh, with discoveries, I'm not sure it's a discovery. It's basically just a rehashing. And if anything, I kind of took a step back a little bit. I'm like, all right, what am I postulating? What do I have at least the best argument for? And then I list a whole bunch of sites. Actually, you know what? We can do that. We got like 2 minutes left. Let's go right into it. Now that we completely derailed something from a 6-year ago political plea for unification, apparently it totally didn't work. All right, let's bring up what we're going to be presenting. I think this guy. No, let me go through the date last opened. Okay, here we go. All right, so let's bring it up in our final minutes. Share the screen. All right, window. All right, so what we're going to be presenting, and we actually just picked up the posters today. Oh, hold on. All right, here we go. It's called Eternal Cyclic Cosmology. Again, it's in quotes, but it was basically a physical explanation for dark energy. All right. So what do we have here? So the whole claim is this right here. You notice this little twirly thing? Basically, there's a figure-8 knot in there. So the figure-8 knot is the simplest knot after the unknot, which is basically just a circle of string, and then the trefoil knot. It's also the first knot to project a hyperbolic complement. What is the complement of a knot? It's everywhere the knot is not. Ah, you see what I did there. But essentially, this projects a toroidal boundary. So these are just cutouts, so you can kind of see inside there. So just think about this like if this was an apple and a worm would be eating a hole in a figure-8 pattern through it. So you can think of it, it's, oh, did I say worm and hole? Oh, that might be a little, insinuative, if you would. But essentially, the claim is you have this. I used to have the size, but whether it's at the magnitude of like 10 to the minus 8 meters or 10 to the 9 meters, that's a ginormous difference. but ultimately the claim is its radius, or excuse me, that throat goes down to about the magnitude of the Planck charge for its radius, which is coincidentally around the classical neutron radius. I have a misprint here. I list it as about the charge radius of a neutron. That is incorrect, because the charge radius is about 10 to the minus 15, 10 to the minus 16 meters. But basically the claim is, all right, if this thing is going through a particular process, and you could think of it maybe like a source where stuff is coming out, you're going to get all our different stars, our galaxies and everything, clusters, super clusters and everything. And then at some point, you're basically, this stuff is going to kind of go through almost like a convection-like process, in that you got hot stuff coming up, it's kind of going to go around. And if we have some rotation here, which was on the poster last year, and apparently, at least according to one article from the Letters of the Royal Astronomical Society and a paper on Archive, we may be able to solve the Hubble tension, which is basically the discrepancy from the CMB of what we believe dark energy or whatever this stuff might be, and when we're viewing different stars and supernovae and everything like that, basically there's a difference of, what is it, the CMB ends up being whatever the units are, like approximately 68 kilometers per megaparsec or something like that. And then the ones from some of the observations is about like 74 kilometers per megaparsec. All right. So that, you're like, whatever, 6 or 8 kilometers per megaparsec, whatever. If you're trying to figure out what's going on, that's a very large tension. It's pushing around, what is it, like 4.2 sigma or something like that now. But basically, if some slow rotation might explain that, I'm like, well, if we've got some rotation here, and especially if we happen to be coming from a hot, dense state, it's going to impart some angular momentum. Okay. If you're imparting some angular momentum and it was very hot and dense, maybe there was a superfluidic-like state. And if there was a superfluidic-like state, and we've seen from superfluids that apparently you start getting little vortices popping up, I'm like, might that account for why galaxies were seated in kind of such a homogeneous way, but not quite all the same? It's just kind of popping up around there as well. And there is some, again, angular momentum there. If we can help solve the Hubble tension, and we actually have a physical mechanism, I claim, for what's going. Again, this really isn't me. It's more like I listened to what Thad laid out for his model. I'm like, let me take this seriously. What would happen? Have you ever done the soda bottle thing where you kind of get it going? You got this vortex here, and it's vortexing out the other way. I'm just saying that, well, if you've got a sink where stuff is coming in and a source where stuff is coming out, might that explain what's going on? Now, again, this is a conjecture. Now, even if it did explain many of the phenomena, what I'm claiming is basically crazy. It's like, I am literally conjecturing that we basically have some field configuration where this knot is literally cinching reality as we know it together, acting kind of almost as a prime mover, or the one, oscillatory network engine. Why? Because using those words gives us the one, and that was what Thad had been stressing me. What is one? I don't know. We use it as a next successor in math to set our base unit, but yeah, so then the whole claims is basically this over here acts as a source and sink, as we know from sources and sinks within electromagnetism. Flow may explain dark energy and what we may observe as a Big Bang, because, I don't know, if you got a bunch of stuff going in and it's going to spew it out because it's getting compressed incredibly tight and dense, it's going to recycle, you're going to have a heat gradient, you're going to have some angular momentum, bada boom, bada bing. Does that explain things? I don't know. Yeah, that's a claim, and we'll see, and people will give me their feedback, and I'm sure there's going to be somebody there that's going to be like, no, this can't be wrong, here is the fatal flaw. All right, I go back to the drawing board. I had fun, and if I was wrong, then I was wrong. The more terrifying thing is if there was something to this. That is actually kind of scary. Oh yeah, and the rotation, this rotates may create a rotation gradient to explain the recent observations of a preferred direction of galactic rotation. Because that was something that a lot of folks didn't really expect, because I think I asked Professor Wolfram that, I think a couple of years ago. I'm like, do stars and galaxies all like rotate in the same direction? And he gave an answer, but honestly, I didn't clip it out because he didn't really even give a good answer. I don't think it was a great answer. He started to answer it, but he was really thinking about it. And like the sheer fact that somebody like Stephen Wolfram, who growing up as a kid loved space and all that stuff and learned about particles and they were like his friends and stuff like that, it's like the sheer fact that he did not have an immediate answer to that, I think was telling. And apparently, we, at least from a particular sample, and again, we're going to need more data to see, but if we got about 2/3 of galaxies tending to rotate a particular way, might this help account for it? And then when in doubt, have a butt ton of citations to cover your butt. Why? It's better to have them and not need them than need them and not have them. Again, I didn't label absolutely everything here because there'll just be numbers everywhere. But a lot of this is just like for these pictures and stuff that I use, give proper credit there. And as well as different articles, as well as different links to papers that seem to generally support the general gist of what I'm saying. Why? It's we give credit where credit's due. If somebody had worked on it before, you give credit to it. Am I gonna be so pompous to be like, I obviously discovered this, and if anybody else ever talks about this, oh, they obviously stole it from me. I'm totally not referring to Discord messages I occasionally get from folks, but I digress. It's, again, one of the best ways to go around things, in my opinion, is be ungaslightable. Because if you give your opinion, you're giving your opinion. Again, opinions can be wrong. It's as soon as you start expressing that we know this is the case. I don't know about you. I ain't no God nor prophet. I don't know what's going on. Why do you think if I pop into a chat, I'm usually like, hey guys, what's going on? I don't know. But that's going to be my poster for the thingy. Let's see. Oh God. Oh, you're going to make me blush even more, get more of a sunburn. Why, thank you, Poindexter. That maybe I'm just, again, I don't know. It's a wild and crazy idea, and if I'm going to go to a conference with a whole bunch of heretics, it might as well be heretical. So, again, we'll see what happens. Okay. Okay, well, see, here's the interesting thing, because you go back to it, the radius of the observable universe is about 10 to the 26 meters. Okay. That's freaking ginormous. The claim is the radius of our system, because I'm invoking maximal extendability. What is that? No arbitrary boundaries, as well as the Janus Point gentleman. But his whole thing is no arbitrary boundaries. So here's the thing. If you believe that space is going to essentially be uniform, smooth and uniform all the way down, you can continue to go down, down, down. Basically, if you can continue going down beyond the Planck scale forever, well then by natural logic, the universe would be as big as it could be. So if you could go down forever, then, well, wouldn't the universe just grow forever? And its size would be infinite. Okay. I'm just using the logic here. I'm like, all right, if we have a minimum of length that pops out from our calculations, I'm like, what would the inverse of that be? A ginormous number. Rather than 10 to the minus 35 meters, it ends up being about 10 to the 34 meters. Long story short is, the claim is, universe, so to speak, it's about 100 million times larger. So effectively, we could literally just be, I don't know, maybe a supermassive black hole or a very old, ginormous cluster, hyper cluster of galaxies just getting condensed down, spewed out in a hot, dense state, and we could see what we are observing as our observable universe. Okay. And again, that's a crazy idea. Maybe it would help explain things. But again, that's conjecture. That's me expressing opinion that I put on a poster that I'm going to present there. That might have absolutely nothing correct, and I might just be a straight up crank. Full disclosure, I am a crazy person. I think the question might be, just like a lot of folks, is this one sufficiently crazy? Because again, we'll wrap up with any sufficiently crazy idea is indistinguishable from madness. And occasionally some mad lads down the line end up being vindicated. Will any of this stuff happen in my life? Probably not. But again, that would also postulate that there was something there. Do I know if there's anything there? No, I'm just looking at observations, do some calculations, and just play out the model that had laid out, and I'm like, what would be the consequences? This, to me, appears to be the consequences. So, that's my claim. This guy is commenting that we need crazy ideas to understand this crazy realm of things. That's literally my take. It's like, a lot of times people will say, oh, look at the cringe stuff on the internet. It's like, all right, so if there's a lot of cringe, well, maybe we need to take it to the next level of cringe. Or if there's a lot of crazy stuff and we already have some ideas, and it's like, all right, we've got some beautiful ideas, and it's like, I don't know, maybe the double cover the Leech lattice in 26 dimensions will solve all these problems. And again, occasionally there's some things that pop up and you're like, oh, that's very interesting. Why is the density of the Leech lattice popping out from this construction? Okay. Again, I think a lot of ideas that we have, there's probably at least maybe some truth or at least usefulness to them. Because again, Lambda CDM, what am I going to just poo-poo it even though if I'm putting out something else? It's like, no, we had a model. It's been conjectured. It's been used. We've been able to try to figure out a bunch of things. Now we're getting more data. So we need to go back and we refine our assumptions and models, and we see what we can do best. That's just my take. We want to be less wrong because, well, that's science. So, but other than that, I've been rambling on for so long. So, hey, thank you all for watching again. If you'd like to attend a scientific conference about some alternative cosmologies while having folks actually there that are part of, or at least work within, the standard Lambda CDM framework, so we can at least have some balance and not just be huffing our own farts. We want to have different ideas. We want people to push back with love and respect so we can be less wrong. That's my general pitch. But other than that, hey, peace out, everybody. Take care of yourselves. It's a wacky and wild world out there, but it's open for a better tomorrow. So take care, y'all.